Congratulations on your film. Do you call it Control or C.T.R.L? How do you refer to it? And sorry, can you introduce yourself, please? Sorry, let's start with that.
My name is Mariana Conde. I'm the director of Control.
Yeah.
We mainly refer to it as Control, but
Yeah.
C.T.R.L is not incorrect.
Okay, and then always the same opening question. Where does the idea come from? How did it all begin?
Well, the idea actually came from my partner,
Right.
who's we call the executive creative, and his other is also my other half, and he's a web developer. He does a lot of online gaming as well.
So nothing to do with filmmaking at all?
No, we actually met at the cinema, so we obviously love film.
Yeah.
And we go and watch a lot of films together. But his background is quite different. He's a bit more on technology side of things and user experience, etc. And he came home and he said, "Imagine there's an app that can control people." And of course, that for me was like, yes,
Okay.
and we could make a film about it. And the beauty of the idea for me was that it was simple enough and exciting enough that we could make it. So it had interest for an audience, but at the same time it was doable. It was something that we could afford to make.
So you're, I know we chatted about this before. This is a film you've made, but have you actually made a film before? Is your background more about acting or the producing side, or both?
I studied film and video
Yeah.
in Wales, and before that as well I did image and communications. So my passion lies in directing, but the reality of the market when I joined it as a young adult was that girls were mainly producers, and that's kind of, you were groomed into producing, and that's what happened to me when I joined the industry. So I became a production manager, producer, which is great and it's very useful, but it's not where my passion lies. Therefore I make side projects where I direct. So I've done several other films that I directed. Control, I think, is the one that shows my potential the best, because at the time when I made it, I was lucky enough to have amazing people that I could get involved and to help me do it, because filmmaking is obviously a group process. You can't do it on your own, and the better people you can get involved in that believe in the project as much as you do, the better the end result is going to be.
And in fact, I totally agree with that, because we haven't seen lots of women that on the production side, but not many women that on the directing side.
Yeah.
Sort of plays into what you're saying. So I'm guessing with your background, when you came to start thinking about making this film, the people you knew in the industry, was that a bit of a leg? I mean, could you call upon people's help to help you make this film?
I did. One of the things that I've been noticing by observing the directors around me is that they're not afraid to ask. And after I moved to London, and I was in London for about 4 years before I directed a film of my own,
Yeah.
I kept asking myself, why am I not doing it? What's stopping me? And one thing I noticed was that the directors around me were very, very brave, very self-confident, and they're not afraid to ask favors. So
I suppose they have to. Yeah, it's the nature of the people that are.
yeah, it's the nature of the people that will make it in the industry. And I think being a female at the time when I came to the industry, that confidence was taken away from me.
Sorry, it was taken away from you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, 10 years ago, which is when I left university, I came out of university feeling like I could do anything. But when I came to the industry, that is not the case.
No.
And I actually started my career back in Portugal, where I'm from. I went from Wales to Portugal, and the industry at that time in my country was still very, very sexist, with a generation of much older men who are producers, who still felt entitled to shout at and have an attitude that is not the ideal. And yes, that did delay my career. And when I came to the UK, luckily the attitude, the work attitude, was much more positive, much more polite, and it was nicer. But at the same time, yes, I was taken in a path that it was not my ideal path, because I was a woman. And we know that still happens. It is better. I can see when I go on a film set, there's much more women runners or camera ops and actually sound. We still don't see a lot in sound, but it is slowly starting to change, because when I started running, I didn't get some jobs because I was a woman, and people were afraid I wouldn't be as strong to carry the equipment.
Oh right, and that was something you noticed. I mean, that must.
No,
be
that's
part
something
of
I've been told.
Right,
I was
okay.
told that. So, yeah.
And when you were making this film, or during, I mean, obviously because you've got you're quite, well, not fortunate, it's the wrong thing to say, but because you've got experience in this. I mean, often there's filmmakers make mistakes, of course, but I'm guessing you already knew what the trips and traps were, so you could avoid those. Or were there problems when you're making this film?
There's still problems. Of course, it's easier, because I spend a lot of time on film sets, and even though I'm doing production, I'm present on creative discussions and conversations, etc. So yes, it was much easier. I knew how to plan it very well. I knew when to trust people, when to intervene. So it was very, very nice atmosphere on the shoot. But at the same time, it was a very small crew. So I was wearing a lot of hats and
spinning those plates.
And there's quite a big continuity mistake on the film.
Continuity area?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Which is? You're going to have to tell me.
Just watch the table when you look at the characters.
Okay.
Just watch that table. And also from the beginning, from the moment we draw the characters, the two guys controlling the characters, they're meant to be really into kind of urban culture and into their music, and we always imagined them wearing the headphones so we could play with the proximity of the camera and distance and kind of make it sound like the music is coming from their headphones. What happened was, on the day, not me or the creative exec or the producer noticed that they were wearing their headphones here, so they actually didn't have them on, so we couldn't do that on the film because we're too busy, and it was a very small crew with very little means.
And the trouble is, you're the go-to girl, if anything. No, but I mean, it's honest, isn't it? The smallest error or the biggest problem, the first thing is going to come to you. Yeah. So what advice, if particularly a female friend came up to you and said, look, or someone you know, I want to get into filmmaking, what advice would you give to them? Don't touch it with a barge pole. Seriously. Sorry. What would you say? How would you encourage them?
I would say don't give up and don't be afraid to ask. I noticed that a lot of girls have this sense of humility. No, that's not the word. I think we tend not to be as ballsy as the men in the industry, and we have to be. We have to go and ask that favour, and we can't kind of, maybe I indirectly made them know about my project hoping they would offer. No, just go and ask. If you want to work with someone, there's a DOP you really like and you want him to shoot your film, just ask, because these people are keen to help each other. Just pick a quiet time to make your film. Don't make it in the middle of summer when everyone is shooting in London. Make it maybe in end of September, early October, or before the busy period when people are a bit more available and they'll be keen to help. Yeah.
And is it? I mean, are there more women coming through that you know? I know you're saying it's getting busy, but have you physically seen that any kind of transition like that?
Well, I think there's definitely a movement. We're all trying to be more outspoken, and also we're trying to change attitudes, and kind of when you're in the middle of conversation and someone tells you, because women are natural producers, as it happens often, you kind of say, hold on a minute, we're not, just because we're women and we can be mothers, it doesn't mean we got a motherly role that makes us amazingly talented at producing. It's kind of, that's how you see it because you were made to see it that way. We're also extremely creative people and very capable of directing films or doing anything else we want to. So it's kind of, we're starting this to change our attitudes and stop this way of thinking, even with very young people and or other women saying things like that.
And is it, would you advise going to university, or do you think in hindsight, I'm open about it, so I haven't got an opinion, I'm just a question, or do you think actually, knowing what I know now, I don't know if I necessarily needed to do that, but would you still do it?
You don't have to go to university, but it depends on the opportunities that you have around you. I mean, if you live somewhere like London where you can afford to be working for free for a month with a famous director that you like, that's a great idea. Approach them, try to get that work experience. That wasn't my case, so university made a lot of sense to me because it was 3 years of my life where I could really study film and make films and meet people that love film. So I really, really enjoy that, and for me that was a unique opportunity, and I'd love to go back and do a master's or something if I could.
This time, like you say, isn't it? It's funny that time slot. And is it, with filmmaking, is it harder to get into it or stay in it?
It's very easy to get into a film university or
actually with filmmaking. So is it harder to get into filmmaking or actually stay in filmmaking? So in other words, is it more difficult to get on that ladder, or once you're on the ladder, to stay there or to work? Because they're both very, very difficult, I suspect.
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, it's not difficult to work in film or film related industry. You know, you have to start low, just start, but it's difficult to get to a role like directing because you have to make films to direct.
Yeah, of course,
There's no ladder to directing but to make films.
And I know you mentioned earlier your partner, he's into the IT, so I'm guessing how important was social media in promotion here? He must have been an expert at doing that, but how did that happen? How did you manage to get the message out there?
We use technology a lot. I'm actually quite geeky myself,
right.
so
yeah. There's me assuming. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm very geeky. So I knew from day one that we should have a really nice website because that will help us get great people involved. So we started a website when we started talking about making the film, and we used that website. Even though it was password protected, I sent it to the people that I wanted to get involved in the film, and we used it as a way of showing that we're serious.
Did it work? Did it all
It
that
did.
help?
It really did.
You'd be surprised actually how many filmmakers that don't have websites.
Yeah.
I was quite shocked by it because so often when I'm talking to filmmakers and ask them to send the web address, a lot of them don't. A lot of them have IMDb, but a lot of them don't actually have websites to support it. But it would seem important to me.
It takes a lot of time to make a site.
Yeah.
I didn't make it. I was lucky. My partner's a web developer, so I just pushed him to do it for us. And because it was his idea, he did the website and he funded most of the film. So I put a lot of time into it, and I put some money, but he's put most of it. And of course, he was committed enough to do this with me. And we designed flyers. We went into some dance meetings and dance events and distributed them and talked to all the dancers that we met to get them involved in the project. So for us, using social media and other types of marketing of our project really, really helped.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's critically important. I think it's as I said about the website, but I think you must, at the very minimal, be social media aware. I mean, it is so important to getting the message out, and because there are so many competing films globally, you need to stand above, put your head above the parapet. I guess with on the finance side, did it come in about where you was hoping it was, or did it sort of go over the budget? I never asked anyone about the budget, so that's none of my business. But
That's fine.
The pot of money you had, did you manage to stick to that?
I think we didn't want to go over 5,000.
Right.
That's what we spent. But it was kind of. I didn't go about it as professional a way as you would expect from someone that works in production, because I was too busy being creative. But I suppose, like, between myself, Donna the producer, and my partner Stu, we kind of knew what we had and just managed it the best way we could.
And what compromises did you make you wish you really didn't have to make, if there were any?
It's difficult because this project was very organic. It really evolved with us. I think one thing that would have made it amazing would have been to have more post budget, so we could actually have the app moving in animation and the actors' movement being the same as the app to make that really strong. That sense of being controlled would have been highlighted, but I don't think it was hard for me not to do that because I knew I would have been really lucky to have. I knew what my constrictions were. Restrictions. I knew what
constraints, restrictions.
I knew what my constraints were, and so I didn't let that affect me. I think maybe that's an advantage I've got of knowing production, is that I know there's things you can't always achieve.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've told myself that I'm directing this, so I'm gonna push for everything that I've imagined, and I'm gonna try really hard to make it happen. Because if you don't, it's never gonna be good enough.
No, it's got to be you. Yeah. I mean, this is just me from experience of filmmakers. Obviously, everyone wants more money. Obviously, because you can do things differently. But actually, the other thing they all say is, if you ask a question, is more time. Do that a couple of more days.
Yeah, I wish we had more time to rehearse. I think one more day of rehearsing the movement with the actors would have been perfect. And not to make it longer, maybe to make it shorter and tighter, I think. That would have been great.
And what's next for you? What's the next project? I know we should explain that you know, you because of the industry you work in, you're sort of involved in it, but what's actually next that you'd like to do? Oh, okay.
You can see I'm excited.
Buzzing about this, yeah. It's a big budget block, but Steven Spielberg's phoned you.
Woo! No, actually, he's very ambitious, and I don't think it'll be something quick or easy to make. I've been working on it for a long time, on and off, but I love it, and I really, really want to make it. So it's a 20-minute film, I believe. It's a fiction. It's set in Morocco. It's my own idea. So
why Morocco? There must be a reason. Have you been to Morocco?
Yes, I went to Morocco when I was 20 for the first time. So that's quite an interesting time of your life. And I think seeing a very different way of living at that point in my life was fascinating. And I went back several times now, and I think it's a very relevant place to make a film nowadays, because, you know, the world we live in, you know, we're very self-focused on our culture, and we see other cultures sometimes as outsiders and different from us. Yeah. And it's important to kind of look at ourselves and other cultures and try and find what's the common ground, what's not, and kind of, I think I go to Morocco to learn a bit more about myself as well. So I think writing this film it works in many ways for me. It's inspiring, it makes me feel creative, and it makes me grow as a person. So. And
what is it about? What can you not say?
Yeah, no, I can totally say. It's about a Moroccan girl who she's struggling with her sexuality and her identity. So she's convinced herself that she is being taunted by a jinn. Jinns are kind of playful spirits. And there's a specific jinn called Aisha Kandensha, which she's an amazing character in the Moroccan culture. Aisha is this beautiful jinn, looks like a wonderful, amazing, seductive woman, but she has the fit of a camel. And what she does is she seduces men, and once men fall for this woman, they can no longer set themselves free and love another woman.
Right.
And she promises them all these things, and she gives them all these things, but they're all invisible, so they look like insane people. So they're crazy people. And I think this story it's told to kids to make them a little, maybe kind of think about.
Well, so this is like a fable, but you're building off the back of that.
It's not a fable. Like, it's part of their culture.
No, sorry,
like,
but it's a story in their culture that you're building on.
Yes,
or you're
exactly.
using as a reference,
I'm using that story as a reference because I think to me fascinates me. The story probably comes from a Portuguese countess called they say Aisha Condessa instead of Contincia maybe. And of course, me being Portuguese, I relate to that as well. And the legends says that she was a very beautiful, rich woman, and therefore a little bit dangerous for that society. And this fable impersonates the fear of women, of strong, beautiful women. And I thought that would be wonderful to use in my story.
That light bulb moment, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, my character is a girl, and she thinks the spirit, he's causing her to have feelings for other women.
Right.
So she goes onto this adventure to try and rid herself of the spirit. So she runs away from home and goes into this pilgrimage that actually still exists nowadays in C.T.R.L, where believers like Sufis, Moroccans go to placate the spirit. And on the way there, of course, she's going to have to face the fact that actually, maybe it's not a spirit that's causing this. Maybe she does like other women. Maybe she's gay. And of course, that's a society where being gay is still a crime.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to say in this.
So you're going to shoot this in Morocco, yeah?
I would love to if they let me.
Yeah, I was just thinking the red flags are going up there. So yeah, don't tell them too much. No,
but obviously nowadays with social media and Kickstarter, etc., you can't keep your film a secret anymore like you used to, unless you have that budget, and you can.
Yeah, it's like Star Wars saying keep everything under wraps.
Of course, but I'm not the director of Star Wars, unfortunately. So yeah, I've got to tell the world, and that might mean that I can't film there, or maybe I can film some parts there and others elsewhere. But nowadays you can film in other places as long as you're true to the culture.
Yeah, and that's right. Yeah, I mean,
I think that's
you've got places in, for instance, like Budapest, which double for London as an example. For whatever reason, tax free. But yeah, I of course, you're absolutely right. And how far along the road are you to making this? Is the script finished?
No.
Right.
I've got. So I went to Morocco in January to work on the idea, and so I think I had the basis for it since 2003.
Right.
But
so some time then, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I knew I wanted to write something about identity, and I would like to make something there. And then 2 years ago, I found my characters, but it wasn't complete. I think I only found out that they were gay last year.
Right. Oh, I see. No. Okay, so that was never part of the story originally. It's only as the times you thought, actually, if I do this, they might make it. Yeah, okay.
It will
different spin on it.
It's not about the spin. It's about kind of in 20 minutes saying everything I want to say.
It's really tough. I know short films.
Very, very tough. And I'm not gonna have just one Moroccan character. I have a Portuguese character as well.
Right, yeah.
So it's about the shock of cultures and being a girl in nowadays. So in those two different cultures that have two completely different problems.
Yeah.
But what we have in similar is that none of them is perfect, actually. And I'm getting totally sidetracked.
No, it was just.
Yes. So this year, when I went back to Morocco, kind of everything started making sense. It was like full circle. The legend of Aisha, I started knowing, I spoke to some storytellers, traditional storytellers, and the stories I found this time were like the missing pieces for my puzzle. So everything is coming together very nicely, and I've got a structure. I know what's happening at the different stages of the film. Now I just need the time to sit down and write it.
Yes, and when do you think? So you've got all these pieces in your head and down. When do you think it's going to be ready to shoot? Or hope?
Well, I think I can have a finished script by the end of the year, and then it's a different struggle seeing how to make it. Of course, I can apply for funding in different places. I can do Kickstarter, etc. I've already got a Facebook page for the project, so I'm already trying to get it out there. And
Always
get
ask for
people.
more than you actually need, apparently. That's what they say, isn't it? So, because, that's the advice a couple of filmmakers have given to me. So if you need £10,000, as an example, always say you need 15 or 20.
Well, I went to Aesthetica Film Festival,
Yeah.
and I met Katie from Festival Formula, and she's done crowdfunding as well. So she was there talking about it. And actually, there's kind of a number that usually you can get.
Oh, is there a tipping point, yeah?
Yeah, there's kind of, 10 grand to 20 is quite a good amount to ask for.
Yeah.
You're more likely to get it.
Yeah, because I suppose if, to anyone, I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, but it's not an obscene amount of money, and I suppose you've got enough people, I can see how that would work. Listen, thank you very much for your time.
No, thank
Really
you.
Wonderful, thank you.